Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on to introduce my latest project, which will be for Tracie Fox's creative design team. I haven't done one for ages, so I can't wait to get into this. Using her simple A Little Regent digital kit. This is part of her budget-friendly kits. And it has 28 pages, which include journal pages and 8 pages of ephemera, so stacks to use. There's also a freebie which coordinates with this, which is available on a website. So to get the freebies from the website, you head on over to her website, which is Tracie Fox Creative, and you join up and you'll get free newsletters, but it also gives you a code that you can use to access the members area on her website, and that's all free. So once you've done that, you have access to the website freebies then. So I've printed, I think, all of those out. I will give you a bit of a look so you know what it's like. I'm sure you'll see more of it as I work on my project and at the end. And you can head on over to Tracie's Etsy, Love Junk Journals, and check it out there as well. There's a link down below to the other design team members if you want to catch up on what everyone's been making, and of course to all of Tracie's social media. So it's absolutely gorgeous. It's quite shabby, which is not something that I do a lot of. So this is going to be a little different from me. So we'll see how we go. Just going to try something out. I want to use a whole lot of shopping bags, your brown paper shopping bags for this one as well. But absolutely beautiful. So you get a lot of writing space on the journal pages, and really nice embellishing on them as well. And they've got that sort of vintage worn look about them. And I love all the laces and that. So very, very nice kit. And then the freebies, just as beautiful. So lots of little bits and pieces you can use. And it goes together perfectly with it. So a lot of extra ephemera, big tags. So I thought I would quickly give you a look at those before I go and start hacking into them and planning what I'm going to do. I've cut down some of the edges of some of the Coles paper shopping bags, and I've decided that I just want to shabby them up a bit. So I'm using my brayer to apply some gesso here. It's a bit patchy in that, but that's sort of the look I wanted. Just in case I have edges and bits that stick out, I thought it'd be nice to have the gesso on there. Now, I realised as I started doing this that it takes a fair bit of gesso to get the coverage I want, and gesso can be a little expensive. So I did 2 pieces with the gesso and then decided that I'd swap it out for acrylic paint. Now, I'm keeping the gesso pieces for backing journal cards and that sort of thing because, of course, it's quite easy for you to write over the top of, whereas the acrylic paint can cause a bit of a problem with your pens. So I do both sides of the bag because at this point I had no idea really what I was doing. So now I've swapped out for the acrylic paint. I usually get my paints from the second-hand shop. If I find some in there for $1 or whatever a tube, I will grab it. So I don't mind using a whole pile of that to do this with. So I do about 8 pieces or something of my paper bags. So I just pulled the handles off the bags and cut the bottom off. So these are the edge bits. Now, the acrylic is a bit duller than the gesso when it dries, but that's sort of a better look for what I want anyway. In the end, I'll probably cover up most of the papers, so I don't know if this is a waste or not. But now I want to get on with figuring out how I'm going to do my cover. Now, I don't really have a plan. I'm just winging it as I go, so you'll have to put up with that. It's my usual style. I have one of the kit pages here. You can see it's been ripped pretty well in half, so I'm just using this to sort of guesstimate how big I want my cover. I want a pretty wide spine in the cover, so we have to figure that out as well. Looks like halfway is about 5 3/4. And then the height, I'm not measuring the border, I'm just measuring the picture. And if I sound funny, it's because I was sucking on a mint. Sorry about that. 8. It'd be 8 1/16, I reckon. Maybe we'll just say 8. It's easier that way. By 8. And I'll just write single page. Kit page. So as it stands, it's a little bit, I want quite a good border around, maybe even like 1 inch of a border. Yeah, I think 1 inch border is nice around all sides. So we'd be adding 2 inches to the width and 2 inches to the height that way. So we would make this 10 inches. And this one 7 3/4. I'll measure how wide this piece is, because as I said, it's the shorter of my 2 cover pieces, because we've got to make sure that we get that twice, which we will, but then I've got to figure out how wide I want my spine as well. And I want it all with this one piece. We needed 7 3/4 for the width of a page. We're doing 2 pages. So we need 15.5, is it? And see where we can rip to make this straighter. Let's move this over a little bit. Now, let's see if we can do this. Might have to just draw and cut in it. So all down there, that's a nice line. Let's get me scissors. Can always rough up the edges if we want to afterwards. Now we are going for shabby, so it doesn't matter if things aren't perfect. All right, we're going to make the spine 2.5 inches, which is plenty anyway for what we're doing, I think. Which would mean we need 18 width. Told you I didn't have a plan. And we know we've got that side pretty well straight. Now we're going to go over for 18 inches is what I think we worked out. So we've got 12 there. Then we need another 6. Yeah, that just fits nice. And we've got 12. There, and we need another 6. Just turn it over so I can see my, can I see it? Yep. And another 6. There we go there. Rule a line. And we'll cut that down. I was going to fold the edges over just to make it more sturdy, but I don't think I'll worry about that. We'll see how it works out anyway. I'm trying to just get it done rather than sitting there stressing about which way to do it the best. Because I'll never get done because I'm the world's best procrastinator. Now we've got to do the top to bottom. So we want it 10 inches we've worked out. So let's see how big it is. Yeah, so we can take a fair bit off top and bottom, which is probably a good thing because it's a bit thin in some areas. So just thinking, how much bigger are we than the 10? We're at 12 there, so we're about 12.5. So I think we're going to take 1 inch off this side. So measure that out. 1 inch, 1 inch, turn it around, do 1 inch, and I rule along there. Alright, now from there we want to make it the 10 inches. So I'll put my ruler there and go 10. Okay, yay, so that should be the size that we want things. What I need to do now is get this one down to the same size. Now I could, if I wanted to, just do this and cut or trace around it, which I might do. I'm just trying to ascertain which is the best edge. You can see where I've pulled off the handles and that here a bit. That's not going to matter because, I mean, we're covering most of the cover anyway, so I'm not too worried about that sort of thing. So leave it alone, Nat. So what I might do is just grab my ruler, try and flatten it out as much as possible. Don't know if you'll be seeing any of this. Sorry, it is very big. Let me see if I can... Oh no, that's all right. It's in camera a bit. All right, flatten it out, put my ruler down at the edge of that page and do a line down there. Now, well, I've got it flat up the other end. No, I think we'll go down the bottom here and do a line. Move our ruler along. Do a line. Now I'll keep all these offcuts, or the thicker ones anyway, and nicer ones, just in case I want them for embellishments. I can see a line there. I don't know where that come from. I'll try rubbing that off afterwards, although it's not going to matter much. All right, now we missed this line here, so let's just put this together. And it's looking pretty close. Not perfect, but shall do. And we'll try rolling this line again. And 7 3/4. I'm doing this on the inside so we won't see the measurements. And then if we do 7 3/4 from this side, top and bottom. Sorry about my buff head if you're seeing it. I'm trying to embrace my grey hair because I'm too lazy to look after it. That's looking pretty good actually, with the spine that's left there. So this will be our spine area, which is, yeah, about the 2.5, which is nice. So we can fold those if we want to, so we know what we're doing. But before I do that, I might as well measure it out on this one. Try and make sure I've got it semi-straight, which I have. It doesn't line up, so let's go there a bit. I'll go down that line if I can. And then we'll go down this line. So I'll do that on both pieces. That's better. then I'd be folding it this way for this one. Just get my edges straight. And this way. Now the paper's already got all the folds in it from the bag and that. I'm just not going to worry about that. We'll be covering the majority, I think, of these pages, shopping bag pages. And if not, I'll just embrace it. So that's the size. That is big, isn't it? But anyway, that's what we're doing. If I change it, I'll let you know. So we're going to do the same here, are we? No, because this will be folded back this way. So yes, it is the same. I'm just turning it upside down. Oh man, this stuff hurts my brain. Right, now I've got to fold it back that way, which is easy enough. You know, I was getting myself confused. All right, so these will be like this, and this will be a cover, but there will be some layers in between. I hope that made some sense. It didn't make much sense to me, but hopefully it does to you. It should have been a lot more simple than that. And there's a spine. So yeah, it's a big one. Not long ago, I did a second-hand shop and I found this embroidery. And it was out the front in the bins that were free giveaway. It didn't have any of the cottons or anything. It was just the pattern here. It's not the subject matter or the type that I would like to do. So I just kept it for the material, really. I do love that it's got the swatch, the colours here for the cottons that you'd use. And I might like to use that in another project somehow. So I'm going to try and keep that. But I might cut it down, I think, to just about, or even a few squares over. No, I think I'll go about the same size as the inside cover. I want to use this on my inside cover. It'll be really nice and sturdy. It's going to add some support to my spine when I sew my signatures in as well. And it'll be a great way to use it, I think. I will most likely use this side. Cut it down, and we may even gesso over the top of it. But first of all, I will cut it down to the size and get it ready. I'm just cutting off this edge bit here, so that all the edges are the same. It's a sort of finished edge there, and so I don't want that on there. I'll keep that scrapped. Oh, I should be able to do something with that somewhere. Then I'm going to cut it about the same size as my cover pieces from the shopping bag that we cut down. So I'm just putting a mark on the edge there where I want to cut it. And it's quite easy to get it straight. Yes, because I'm just following the weave in the fabric. Wish everything was that easy to cut straight. And then I'll do the same for the height. Put it up against my shopping bag, put a little mark where I want to start cutting, and then just follow the line along. There are going to be a number of layers in my cover, so just to make it sturdy and interesting. So now I've cut it to size. I'm putting down my silicone mat, and I'm going to use the back side of it there. I'm rolling it the opposite way just to try and get it to sit flat because it's been rolled up for ages. So I've got my gesso, and I start by using a foam brush. It's very patchy. I'm not able to spread it very well, and I break my foam brush. So then I move on to a paintbrush, and it's even more patchy. Not really spreading the way I'd like. Making a bit of a mess. So I'm thinking what I could use that might work a little bit better, and I decided to try a Chuck's cloth that I've dampened, and just trying to move some of that gesso around, some of the patchy bits. I don't mind that it's a bit patchy because, as I said, I'm looking for a sort of shabby look. I don't want it all even in that. I think it's going to look great anyway. And the patchiness sort of covers up some of the image that's behind it on the other side. That's the first coat done. Love the way it's turning out, a bit splotchy, but that's all right. I might let this dry, just a little wet, because we've got the watered down rag here. So I'll clean my rag and my knife, let this dry really well, and then I'll see, I might come back and just put another sponging of the gesso over the top. So I did do one more layer, thin layer of the gesso. So you can see it's a bit patchy, but I really like it. You can't see the pattern through it as much. You can see a slight bit of it, but I'm intending on maybe putting pockets down here so you won't see the people, which are in the darker colours there. So I really like the way that's turned out. It's a very different shade now, as you can see. Not more shabby, which is nice. So the next thing I want to do with this piece is add this. It's the edging to a quilt or sheet or something that I've taken off because it's got this beautiful lace on it. Glad I left it like this and didn't unpick it all, because it's got this, I don't know if you call it piping or something here. And I want to utilise that too because the colour sort of goes with my theme. And I want to edge this piece and I want us to see the piping, so I'm going to put it something like that. Now I could sew it on, but I'm going to try using my tacky glue and just bit by bit stick it down, because we'll be sewing the covers together and that will hold it further. And I might also be doing some hand sewing on some bits, we'll see, which will also hold it down better. So for now, I just want to tack it on there like so. You could just pin it on and, you know, when you sew it all together, it would go on, but I'm not very good at sewing. Very inexperienced. So other than sewing on paper, and even then I'm not that good. So I think I will try that and we'll see how we go with our tacky glue. It just takes a while to get tacky and dry, so might have to do a bit and let it dry and do a bit more. So I'm using my glue gun there and just applying a sort of liberalish lot of dots on my fabric. It's good that it's got the fabric left on it. It's been cut off like that because it gives me something to stick to the underneath of the embroidery material. I'm trying to edge the piping up against it there. So I just go along and do a couple of inches at a time because it takes a while for the glue to get tacky and hold. I keep going back and pressing the previous lot that I've glued to make sure it's adhered. Now for the corners, I thought I'd try sort of folding the corners a bit so that the lace goes around the edges. Initially I thought it would be all right. I thought maybe I could play with the lace a bit once it was all dry and it would relax a bit, but that did not work for me. So I will show you later how I fix that. Probably in the next video. Don't want to make these videos too long. So I go along and finish all the edge like that with the lace and folding in all the corners. While the lace is drying for the inside of the cover, I'm getting on with the outside of the cover. So I've got a piece of Coles bag here and I'm just applying what will be my closure. So I measured about middle of my Coles paper bag. I'm just sticking this really wide ribbon on there. Now when I sew all my layers together, that will help hold the ribbon in as well. Make it nice and secure. But for now I'm just tacking it down. So once that's done, I can stick my paper bag down to this piece of linen. Now I ripped that, so it's got the nice frayed edges, and I made it, just a little less than an inch longer around all edges of the paper bag because I want it to hang over the edges. So I'm going to apply glue to the whole of the paper bag and my ribbon closure there. Then I'll flip it over on top of my linen. It's a nice cream colour which I really like. Then I'll stick that down, smooth it out a bit, and that's going to be the outside cover there, and we'll be able to tie our ribbon up like that. That's the end of today's video. I didn't want to make it too long. We will get on with doing some more of the cover in my next video. Going very slow with this project, but I'm really enjoying the process. So I hope you'll stick with it and follow along with me and see what I end up making. It's going to be a bit different, this one. So take care of yourselves, be good, and I will see you again soon. Bye.